The hidden cost of being a good employee. The system never rewards the most loyal employee. It rewards the most replaceable one. That's the part nobody says out loud. You can arrive early, stay late, sacrifice your health, obey every rule, and still watch someone less loyal climb past you. Not because they worked harder, but because they understood something you didn't. Corporations don't promote devotion. They monetize it. The more dependable you become, the more valuable you are exactly where you are. And the moment your identity becomes tied to being the reliable one, you stop building leverage and start building a cage. Most people spend their entire lives confusing obedience with security. If this mindset is already starting to make sense, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone still trapped inside the illusion of corporate loyalty. Most employees never realize the system stopped rewarding loyalty a long time ago. What it rewards now is dependency. The modern corporation doesn't need you inspired. It doesn't need you ambitious. It just needs you predictable enough to keep showing up. And the moment your survival becomes tied to a monthly paycheck, your freedom starts shrinking quietly in the background. That's the hidden cost nobody talks about. Because being a good employee sounds honorable on the surface. Stable income, respectable life, safe routine. But underneath that image is something darker. You slowly lose the ability to think independently. If this video already feels uncomfortably accurate, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who still believes hard work alone guarantees freedom. A man enters the workforce believing performance creates power. At first, he's hungry, competitive. He wants to rise fast. He volunteers for extra work, answers emails late at night, takes pride in being reliable. And in the beginning, the system rewards him just enough to keep him emotionally invested. A compliment from management, a small raise, more responsibility, more trust. But look closely at what's actually happening. The harder he works, the more indispensable he becomes in his current position. And the more indispensable he becomes, the harder it is for the company to let him evolve beyond it. This is one of the oldest corporate paradoxes. The employee creating the most value often becomes trapped creating value for everyone except himself. Because corporations are not designed around fairness. They're designed around efficiency. And efficient systems protect what benefits them most. Think about how many highly competent employees stay stuck for years, while less capable people climb higher through politics, visibility, or strategic positioning. That's because effort and leverage are not the same thing. Most workers are taught to maximize output. Very few are taught to maximize negotiation power, so they become excellent producers, but weak strategists, and that imbalance creates dependence. A dependent employee is easier to control because fear enters every decision. Fear of losing income, fear of disappointing management, fear of becoming replaceable, fear of instability. Eventually, survival replaces ambition. That's when the transformation is complete. The employee no longer asks, "How do I build freedom?" Now he asks, "How do I avoid risk?" And psychologically, those are two completely different mindsets. One creates expansion, the other creates obedience. This is why so many intelligent people remain financially trapped, despite working harder than everyone around them. They've been conditioned to believe exhaustion equals progress. But exhaustion is not power. Leverage is power. A corporation can survive without caring about you personally, because the relationship was never emotional to begin with. It was transactional. That truth becomes painfully obvious the moment profits decline. Watch what happens during layoffs. Years of loyalty disappear in a 15-minute meeting. People who sacrificed birthdays, relationships, health, and peace for the company suddenly realize the system viewed them as numbers long before they viewed themselves that way. And the psychological damage from that realization is deep, because many employees unconsciously merge their identity with their profession. They don't just work the job, they become the job. Their title becomes status, their schedule becomes structure, their employer becomes validation. So when instability appears, it doesn't just threaten income, it threatens identity itself. That's why some people stay inside miserable environments for decades. Not because they love the work, but because leaving would force them to confront who they are without the system defining them. And corporations understand this psychology extremely well. Why do you think companies obsess over words like family culture? Because emotional attachment increases tolerance. People accept lower freedom when they feel emotionally connected to the institution controlling them. They work longer hours, accept more stress, exploitation, all because the environment convinces them sacrifice is loyalty instead of self-abandonment. And the most dangerous part? The system rewards this behavior publicly. The employee destroying his health becomes dedicated. The employee always available becomes valuable. The employee sacrificing personal boundaries becomes leadership material. Meanwhile, the person protecting time, energy, and independence gets labeled difficult or uncooperative. That's how modern systems maintain control without force. not through intimidation, through psychological conditioning. Over time, many employees stop building lives outside work entirely. No independent skills, no ownership, no leverage, no exit strategy. Just a constant cycle of performance and recovery designed to keep them functional enough to continue producing. And once someone becomes financially dependent on a structure they don't control, fear becomes permanent background noise. That fear changes people. It makes them tolerate disrespect they would never accept otherwise. It makes them silence opinions. It makes them stay small to remain safe. And slowly, the person who once wanted freedom begins defending the very system limiting it. That's the final stage most people never see coming. The system no longer needs to control you directly, because eventually, you start controlling yourself on its behalf. You censor your own thoughts. You lower your own ambitions. You reject opportunities before even trying because risk begins to feel dangerous instead of necessary. And the most terrifying part is, it feels normal. That's how psychological conditioning works. Not through force, through repetition. Wake up, work, recover, repeat, year after year, until one day you realize you've spent the majority of your life building someone else's empire while postponing your own freedom. Now, to be clear, this isn't an attack on employment itself. A job can be useful. It can teach discipline, structure, communication, and valuable skills. But the danger begins when employment becomes permanent mental programming instead of a temporary strategic tool, because there's a massive difference between using a job to build leverage and needing a job to survive emotionally. One creates independence, the other creates silent submission. The people who eventually escape this trap usually discover one thing early. Real power does not come from being needed by a company. It comes from reducing how dependent you are on any single system. That means building skills nobody can easily replace, building income streams not controlled by one employer, building networks outside corporate structures, building the ability to walk away without fear destroying your decision-making, because freedom changes your posture. The moment you no longer operate from desperation, people treat you differently. Managers sense it, coworkers notice it. You stop radiating compliance. And that psychological shift alone changes the balance of power. Suddenly you negotiate differently, you protect your time differently, you stop confusing loyalty with self-sacrifice. And ironically, the less emotionally dependent you become, the more valuable you often appear. Why? Because detached people are harder to manipulate. They don't panic easily, they don't over-explain, they don't tolerate disrespect for the sake of approval. That calm independence creates quiet authority. Meanwhile, most employees remain trapped chasing the illusion of security. But security without control is fragile. A paycheck can disappear, a title can disappear, an entire industry can disappear. And if your identity is built entirely around external structures, instability becomes psychologically devastating. That's why the real goal should never be blind loyalty. The real goal is leverage, ops, mobility, ownership over your own mind, time, and future. Because at the end of the day, the system will always protect itself first. That's what systems do. The question is whether you'll spend your life feeding it unconsciously, or learning how to build enough independence to finally step outside of it. And once you see that clearly, you can never look at modern work the same way again.